your two hosts, Carlos and Dylan.
What's up, Gator Nation? As Dylan and myself are back live, we're doing it live today because next week is the holidays, so I don't want to interrupt him while he comes down to probably Key West. I also want to give a quick shout out, Gator Nation. Let's get High Top Sports to 30,000 subscribers. They're very, very close to 30,000. Hit that subscribe button for High Top Sports. I love the High Top kids up there, so let's get them to 30,000.
Yes, sir. They do great work.
In terms of what you're hearing from the portal chaos, as we already know, DJ is no longer a Gator. Was it a factor of NIL money? Was it a factor he was told you don't fit our style of offense? What's the deal?
Yeah, I think, it's pretty out there that Florida and DJ Lagway it was a mutual departure. It wasn't like DJ Lagway didn't want to be a Gator. I think he wanted to be a Gator. I think it comes down to a couple things. I think that, and this is not our decision to decide, but I think that he would have done well in that offense. I think he is a really talented quarterback who has a high potential, but I do think that, Florida staff came in. They looked at what every player is making NIL wise, and everyone kind of knew that DJ Lagway was making a lot of money. Everyone knew that since he got on campus, and when you look at the production you're getting for that money, and you can't say that's a great investment. I think that's kind of where it lays. I'm sure there was conversations, and I think how I'm reading the situation, it kind of seemed like DJ Lagway wanted to be a Gator, but he wasn't getting the money he wanted. And, when you're going into your junior season as a quarterback and you had all this hype and now you kind of are in a prove-it year, you kind of can't go back to college with a guy that's saying, oh, you have to prove it here. We're going to bring in competition for you. We're going to do all this, all that. So at the end of the day, I think, DJ Lagway wanted the money he was already getting, which I don't think Florida was necessarily interested in giving him. And I think he wanted a situation where he knew that he was the guy, that it was guaranteed that he was going to have this year to prove himself and get to the NFL. And Florida, as much as I would like to say that he would have won that job if he came back, I don't think Florida was guaranteeing anything. So I think it was a mutual thing. I do think, and, a lot of people are taking this time to, go and dunk on the kid and kind of talk down on the kid. I think he wanted to be a Gator. I mean, he said it a bunch. He meant it. You could tell he meant it. But I think at the end of the day, college football, it's a business now more than ever before. And that's why he ended up in the portal.
Do you believe since he was dubbed the next Tim Tebow by many fans, not by me or you, but he was dubbed the next Tim Tebow since he got on campus.
Yeah.
I believe I may be wrong. I never got to interview the kid. I believe the pressure got to him. He to me, in my opinion, he was not made like Tim Tebow was made to deal with the pressure. Obviously, football back then was different. It's more like the NFL now. Mm-hmm. Do you think the pressure got to him?
Yeah, I'm not sure we can say all of that. I think that's a hard thing to say about anyone, really, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, we know that there was a lot of issues this offseason with injuries, with getting prepared to play. That came out a little more at the end of the season. He said it himself. He didn't even know if he was going to be able to play this year. He played through it. He obviously didn't have the year he wanted to. I think you could see his confidence getting shot a little bit. And I don't think you can blame that on the kid. I mean, we all kind of agree that last staff kind of failed him. I think his confidence was shot after that. And, you could see him rebuilding his confidence a little bit at the end of the year. But at the same time, when you have such a high expectation coming into the season, you're in all the Heisman talks. You're in all the lists that say you're the best quarterback in college football, blah, blah, blah. And then you're banged up, and then you're not playing at the potential that you have. It's tough. So I'm not going to say that he couldn't handle the pressure. I think it is tough to put a true sophomore, really a true freshman at the time, in that pressure of, oh, you're the savior of this football team. the coach like needed you to be a great football player for his job. That is really tough for any kid, but I don't think he was crumbling under pressure. I think it's just, situations didn't work out. It was a bunch of different things. I think, you look back at everything that happened. There's more than one reason that DJ Lagway didn't work out at the University of Florida, as much as it's so painful because, just a year ago, we were so excited for him, and now we're talking about how it didn't work out.
There's rumors that the Georgia Tech backup quarterback, I can't think of his name now. I've drawn a blank. Is coming to be the next starting quarterback at the University of Florida, and I say the next because we know, the two quarterbacks in the room right now are not ready to be the starters.
Mm-hmm.
They might not even fit John Summerall's system, for all we know. So, is there a lot of smoke, and is it pretty much official that he's going to be a Gator, or is it just smoke and we don't know yet?
Yeah, I think, I've been very clear on this show a couple of times when saying you never know what's going to happen in college football, but this one kind of feels like, everything is pointing towards him being a Florida Gator. He kind of has to be a Florida Gator at this point. I mean, there was no secret that Florida wanted him before he entered the portal, as much as we don't want to get into tampering or whatever,
yes.
But it was pretty clear that Florida wanted him. I mean, Buster Faulkner, that's his guy. He's developed that guy. He's recruited that guy. He has been around that guy for over 2 years. So yeah, I think it's basically, a foregone conclusion that he is a Gator, as much as, the portal opens January 2nd. So it's kind of crazy that we're even saying that about a guy who, but I think there's definitely a high chance that he's a Gator. And as for the starting quarterback, I think that's still up in the air. I wrote an article about it yesterday. And if you guys are interested in looking at any film, I did a good cut up of all his film, all his good throws. And he's a really talented quarterback. But, I mentioned in the article, and some things I'm hearing behind the scenes is that Florida won't be done at quarterback, even if they bring him in. And I think even if DJ Lagway had stayed, Aaron Philo was going to come to the University of Florida. Now, some reports are saying that this only started happening when DJ Lagway entered the portal. I can see,
I doubt it, though, because I think Buster had some influence on that. Buster recruited him to Georgia Tech. He was not going to be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket without Buster being at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and I think, Buster really likes the kid. So that's awesome. But yeah, I think that Florida won't be done in the portal at quarterback, even if it's Aaron Philo. I think Philo will have a great chance of winning that job. I think he's a really good quarterback. I know fans kind of hate it because he's not proven yet. But, fans don't understand that not a lot of quarterbacks are proven until they prove it. You know what I mean? Correct. Like it's not the NFL where you're like, oh, we can go get this veteran, Matthew Stafford, who's
100%.
played in the league for 10 years. These guys are going to prove it when they get a chance. The film looks good for when he stepped on the field. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that Florida will look for a veteran quarterback in the portal as well. I know the GT source kind of said Chandler Morris, which is kind of out of left field. I haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything about Chandler Morris.
Yeah, he's a Virginia guy who's been in college for a long time, so that the eligibility thing will be weird there. And we'll see. I think another one was Colton Joseph that came out today that Florida's interested. I've been hearing a little bit about that. So, yeah, I think that Philo more than likely is a Florida Gator, and he will be one of multiple quarterbacks that they bring in. But I do think he has a good chance to win this job just because he's so familiar with Buster Faulkner and his offense. He's shown that he can run it in short times playing there. And I think, people look at the 3 stars out of high school. People look at the Georgia Tech backup to Haynes King. He couldn't beat out Haynes King. First of all, Haynes King was a Heisman finalist. I think he finished 7th in the Heisman finalist. Yeah. Like, Florida fans would love Haynes King to come over. So him not being able to beat him out that argument doesn't make sense to me. And I think that Aaron Philo has a potential to be a really good quarterback. So we'll see. I think he's destined to come here, and we'll see at the spring camp, fall camp, if he's really, battling it out for that QB1 spot.
Any truth to the rumor that the Duke quarterback may come to Florida, or is he out of
Yeah,
eligibility?
yeah. I posted. No, he's not out of eligibility. I posted something about that a couple days ago, and he played for John Summerall at Tulane. A lot of Duke fans were in my comments talking about, oh, they had a nasty breakup. John Summerall has come out multiple times and said, "Listen, I would have took the money too. Like I would have left too." They embraced each other after the Tulane versus Duke game. They hugged. They were great friends. The one thing I think with that is, we saw the report that he's either going to the NFL or staying at Duke. That came out, I think, yesterday, a little
Yeah,
after.
like 1 or 2 days ago.
Yeah,
That's why I asked the question.
and yeah, I think I haven't heard anything about actual interest between Florida and Mensa. I think if Florida wanted to do a splash move and wanted to pay up, which I don't think they do, but if they wanted to, I mean, you got to remember he's getting a lot of money from Duke. But if they wanted to pay up, I mean, that would be a great option. But and I don't think he's necessarily stuck on Duke like the report said. I think stuff happens fast in college football. Same way
Yeah.
DJ Lagway went from I'm a Gator to in the portal. Stuff happens fast. I think if Florida, really wanted to, I think they could go get him. But I do think that Florida is kind of taking the approach of let's spread the money out around our roster right now, bring in a cheaper guy, which I think Philo and even someone, a veteran guy that's not the splashy guy, but a veteran guy that they think could be a good gap starter. I think that's the approach they're going with. But if they do decide, hey, listen, let's go try to win this damn thing year one, I think Mensah would be one of the first calls because he's a really good football
Even
player.
though I think we can win it with Fowler, I've seen some of his tape, and I'm like, no offense to DJ, but this kid seems like electric.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of Florida fans are kind of overlooking is, everyone wants the elite quarterback that's game changer quarterback. At the end of the day, Florida has had Anthony Richardson and DJ Lagway in the last couple of years who are incredibly talented quarterbacks, and their offense has not been able to run through them. There's been inconsistencies, here and there. Florida has the weapons. Now, they still have to retain some weapons. I know they're
Yes.
working on VB3, they're working on Dallas Wilson, but Florida has the weapons where any quarterback that can be consistent, that can put the ball where it needs to go, that understands the offense, this offense can be very, very good. I think, just thinking about that wide receiver room of Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, I'm sure they're going to bring in at least one transfer. And then you got young guys, Davian Gross, you got Justin Williams, and plenty of others. I think that Florida's offense can be really good with even a stopgap quarterback, which is, just a guy that they think can run their offense. So I know you want the big name, you want the Sam Levitt, you want the, Fernando Mendoza of last year, where it's like the splash pickup. But at the end of the day, Florida can win a lot of football games with a decent quarterback, not someone they have to go out and pay $6 million for.
You scared me. I wasn't going to ask this question, but you scared me with the comment of VV3. I thought VV3 was signed and delivered because he posted he's coming back. Is it true, or they're still working on it?
Yeah, I think I've been on the side that he is going to be a Gator for a long time, but I do think behind the scenes they are still working to make a deal with him. I don't think he leaves, to be honest, but it's still a business. They still have to make a deal. I've heard that they're close to that deal. That deal could be done very soon, but it's the same way that Miles Graham, everyone knew he was a Florida Gator. He's confirmed that multiple times. But yesterday, you got the official, he signed his deal. He's a Gator. I think that's what's going on with VB3. I think Dallas Wilson
Because you
is
kind of
also
scared me with VB3, the VB3 comment. They're still working on the deal.
I can't speak in absolutes about anyone in this world of college football, man, because, anyone and anything could happen in college football right now. But I think that deal is very close to being done. And I think Dallas Wilson is, they're working through that deal too. And I think they're going hard after him. And I could see, I think there's high potential that he stays as well. But you never know.
Any truth on anything, any updates on Jaden Baugh? Because now, remember when ETN went to Georgia? People were having a cow. Now it's Jaden Baugh. And Jaden Baugh came through the door when ETN left. And now they're having a cow about Jaden Baugh, probably hitting the portal. Any updates on Jaden Baugh?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard conflicting things in the past couple of days, and it's the same way that I just said. Stuff happens fast in college football, and it's always moving. I at first I had heard that Florida was really confident in Jaden Ball, and they were getting it done. Then I heard that they're still really working on it. I think as we sit right now, I think like anything, it's 50-50. I think Florida is going to put their best foot forward for him. I think they've been very active in trying to get him. But at the same time, you lose the running back coach that he has said that he loved. He came to the University of Florida to be coached by. And there was a tough situation there where it's kind of hard to say, oh, keep Jabbar Jaloop just for Jaden Ball when he had his problems. He slapped a player in the face,
Yes,
and
of course.
clearly he wasn't going to
100%.
work out here. But now he's at Texas, and Texas was always a team that's been lurking for Jaden Ball. They're definitely putting in a full court press for him right now. So Florida has a lot of work to do with him, but I mean, I'm still confident that they're putting their best foot forward. I think that it's no one's leading the way right now, but if I had to pick like who I think it is, I still think that Florida gets it done. I think that Jaden Ball wants to be a Gator. I think that Florida has the resources to keep him and obviously want him to be a Florida Gator. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff going on, and you got to remember Florida doesn't even have a running back coach right now. Like it's hard to negotiate with a guy and say, hey, listen, we know that your favorite running back coach who you came to the university for is recruiting you at a different school, but we don't even have a guy to sell to you right now. So I think there's a couple factors that Florida, could be doing better in securing him. But I think at the end of the day, they understand that he's a must-keep player. And I think that, they'll make sure that they go down fighting either way.
Now that you brought up the running back coach situation, any truth to the rumor that we were going to swap running back coaches? Because now Texas coach was supposed to be the eminent hire, and now it's like we don't hear anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Zach Alverde reported that they did have an interview with him. I know he was on campus, but as you see with hirings, I mean, the guy that just signed at Alabama, the Knicks guy, he was on campus for us. He interviewed, and so again, stuff happens fast. I think they're definitely looking into the Texas guy. I think there's a couple guys that they're looking into. I haven't heard anything too set in stone, like, oh, this is their guy or anything like that. But I think the Texas guy is a possibility. I think that, realistically, Knicks was probably one of their best options and one of their, one of their most wanted options. And now he's at Bama, which it's tough when you think you're getting a guy and then a big time school who is having a little more success than you as of recent comes calling. So I think that Florida needs to move fast with that hire. When we love that they move fast with a couple hires so far, but when you're in a fight for Jaden Ball and you don't have a position coach for him, that's really tough. So we'll see with that. I think Texas's guy is definitely an option, but I think there's a couple options out there for them.
Your thoughts on the position coaches we've had, obviously a Gators back on the fold. Coach Trout is back in Gainesville, and he'll probably be here for a very long time to come because he's a true Gator. He just had to build his career. Your thoughts on the staff? Obviously, the first three were pretty splash hires. The next two or three, they're up and comers. Your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think I think obviously Buster Faulkner, slam dunk hire, elite hire, exactly what we were asking for. I'm really excited for him. I think, Florida fans just need to trust him with the offense. Stop, trying to question everything he does until you see it on the field, because I think he can, make a really good offense here. I think Florida made a really good hire there. Phil, the former Gator, awesome hire. That just felt like one of those ones where it's like, why wasn't he already hired at the University of Florida? You know what I mean? Like he's a former Gator. He obviously wanted to be here. He obviously wants to be here for a long time, as we saw. I think that should have been done a long time ago. And you already see him working, man. I think out of every, position coach that we've hired so far, and out of every activity, every post I see is Phil offered another offensive lineman, and this guy's a stud, and his relationship is pulling this kid towards Florida. So it's worked out really well so far. I think that's honestly been maybe the best hire so far. And
I agree.
I love Faulkner, but I think he might be. Now we got to see it on the field. He showed it at Penn State. Let's hope that comes around here. The other guys, I'm not too familiar with the defensive coordinator just because Kentucky guy who, it's weird when you have a team like Kentucky where he was dominant at points and then at other times he was really bad and you don't know who to blame for that. You don't know if it was his scheme. You don't know if he got figured out or if it was Kentucky's players, which, I tend to lean towards Kentucky players because I don't think Kentucky, and their former coach was a great situation, but he has the track record. I mean, Josh Allen, when the Giants had a chance to select Josh Allen, I was so into it. And he had a great career at Kentucky, so that's an exciting one. The wide receivers coach, I don't think it's official yet. I know that it came out that that was who they were leaning for and trending towards. And nothing's official yet, but him, I would be excited about him. I think Auburn fans like to say, oh, the wide receivers were dropping passes, and I don't know how much of
that's not necessarily on him. He can only develop them so much.
I'm not sure about that, but I mean, a guy like Cam Coleman, a guy like Eric Singleton that they brought in, I don't know if I said that right, but you know who I'm talking about. The
I know you are.
Guy. His wide receiver rooms at Auburn have been good. They just decided to bring in Jackson Arnold for some reason, which was pretty terrible. But I think he has a great track record. He's a young guy, South Florida ties. I think the biggest thing is the South Florida ties for me with a lot of this staff. I'm really excited for. I think, I talked about it when I was talking about Alex Golesh as a possible head coaching hire. I said the South Florida ties are big. You want a guy that's going to come in and recruit South Florida well. And you're filling your staff with guys like that. I think that's really awesome. I think the defensive backs coach, it made it a little more exciting because we took him from FSU, which is not hard because FSU's a dumpster fire right now. They're terrible, but I still think it's exciting. I think a lot of people are excited about that. Again, South Florida ties. So yeah, I'm all around pretty excited about the hire so far. I need to see the running backs coach. And there's a couple other spots that still need to be filled, but I think Summerall has done a fantastic job. The only real moves that I think are worth questioning right now is, maybe letting DJ Lagway walk, which again, we talked about it. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And, other than that, there hasn't been too much where it's like you can talk negatively about John Summerall.
Do you guys have a staff tracker on Gators SI?
Ooh, you gotta ask Cam Parker about that. I know he does have a portal tracker. I don't think we have a staff tracker just yet.
The reason being is because I haven't done a full staff video on them because I'm waiting. I don't like to do videos when it's expected. Then they pull out. Then you look like a dummy doing a video.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned it about the wide receivers coach, because even Jabbar Jalouk, a report came out that Jabbar Jalouk was expected to be the Kentucky running back coach, and then Texas hired him. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of waiting to see. I think wait till everything's official before you celebrate these guys, but there's a couple that have already become official, and I think a couple will become official in the near future.
I might give Cam and you guys some work. I may message Cam after the show and be like, I need a staff tracker, please.
Get him on it. He might send it to me because I'm his employee, but we'll see. I'll try to get on it for you.
I need a staff tracker because I need to do a video once. I already did a Trout video today, which is going to drop within 2 or 3 days, and outline his career, not only as a Gator, but as an offensive line coach. And I hope you guys like that. I'm doing a little plug, but it's an awesome video. It's about 14 minutes. So I hope you guys like it. But getting on to what else can we expect from the transfer portal, or are we on wait and see because some of the coaches have not been hired?
Yeah, I think there's definitely wait and see for a couple reasons. I think for one, Florida is still working to retain their roster right now. I mentioned it with a couple players. I think Jaden Ball's in active talks. I think Dallas Wilson, VB3, all of these guys are in active talks to re-sign. So I think that before Florida, dives into the portal and really goes after guys, they got to worry about what's at home. And John Summerall mentioned that in his press conference, that, that's big. And like you said, there's not a lot of coaches that are official yet. I know Trout's going to work, but there's a couple guys that need to get into the building and really settle down before they can even attack the portal. But I'm expecting a lot from the portal. I think Florida has a really good foundation, but as you can see, they're losing a lot of players. That was always going to happen, and I think that Summerall has used the portal well in the past. I don't think it's going to be as excessive as it was at Tulane. He had to use the portal for basically his whole roster there, but I think Florida makes a lot of adds in the portal. I think some positions to watch, I mentioned wide receiver. I think that you're bringing back some really talented wide receivers. You're bringing in some young guys, but you still need kind of a vet to kind of a J. Michael Sturdivant, where you need a guy to come in and be able to be a starter for you and you can trust him. As much as J. Michael Sturdivant didn't work out as much as I would have liked to see or others, but I think, a veteran guy. I think, there's a lot of positions that we will decide if we need to add more when the time comes. Another guy like Cormani McLean is kind of a wait and see guy. We'll see if he hits the portal. We'll see if he stays.
I
I
hope he
think that,
stays, man.
yeah. I mean,
That's the Gator I want.
I'm a fan of his, and I hope he stays. But that's an interesting one to watch. But yeah, I think as of now, we're not even close to the start of the portal yet. As much as everyone's kind of announced already, so it feels like we're in the portal, but it starts January 2nd, so we're not actually. But I think there's a couple. A guy that I wrote an article about yesterday, one to possibly watch here is Tulane Santana Hopper. Really good edge rusher, D lineman, kind of a hybrid. He was really good under Summerall this year. The past 3 years, he's been really good. Great PFF grade. I think he's had 15 sacks in 3 years. You watch the film and he's super speedy off the edge. Really exciting player. He said he's entering the portal after the season. And just the connection with John Summerall. He played under Summerall at Tulane this year, and Summerall said he's not going to contact any Tulane players before they hit the portal, but if they hit the portal and they're good enough to play at the university, he'll talk to them. I think that's one that's good enough to play at the university, so that's one to watch out for. But we'll see in the future. Obviously, Aaron Philo's another guy, but there's going to be a lot more entering the portal here in the near future, not just for the Gators, but for everyone. And yes. I think it's kind of a wait and see in multiple factors, because at the end of the day, you have to get your guys at home locked in first. And if you don't do that, then you don't know what you need. So I think Florida will attack that first, and we'll see some portal movement later on.
Yes. Any smoke on the offensive lineman? I did a video on him a couple of days ago, and it's gone crazy. It's gotten 1,800 views in 5 days. Any smoke on the offensive redshirt freshman from Georgia Tech? He was originally a commit of the Gators under Billy Napier and the old staff. Peyton Joseph possibly following Buster over to Florida and actually becoming a Gator for real this time?
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about that. I think, there's obviously a connection. He was a Gator commit. He was also an FSU commit.
Yes.
I think, there's the connection of Buster Faulkner, but I haven't been too, in check with that. I think there's a couple Georgia Tech guys that people want. I think the former 5-star, I believe his name is Josh Petty.
Josh Petty, yes.
Yeah, he's been rumored to maybe want his way out of Georgia Tech. I think Florida could be in that talk too, but there's not been too much rumors about that. I think with a kid like that, it's kind of hard to say, oh, he committed to Florida, and now he's available. So maybe he'll come back because I think, there's a lot of at play there. When he committed to Florida, it never really felt like, oh, he wants to be a Florida Gator. He loves the
Exactly.
logo.
That's why I asked the question.
So, I think we'll have to wait and see with him. I'm sure, if they want him, they'll have every chance to go get him. He obviously has connections to the university and he's available. But I think at the end of the day, Florida will probably look for more experienced offensive linemen. And when you have a guy like Trout who has all these connections, who's done so well, has such a great track record, you kind of hope that he's going out for the bigger fish, and I think we'll see some big time gets, and I think Florida will retain some of their guys. And, I'm excited for the offensive line. I think that's where, when you save money on a quarterback in a way, when you lose DJ Lagway, but you're gaining two cheaper
You got to
guys.
spend it on the trenches.
I think, if you spend it on the trenches, that makes you feel a lot better about the situation in general.
Any news on what I would call, probably Gator Nation is going to call, the new big man on campus, Dallas Wilson, staying on campus?
Yeah, I talked about it a little earlier. I think Florida is in talks with him. I think there's a high chance that they get something done. I haven't heard anything like, oh, it's a done deal or anything, but I do know that they're in talks with him and it's progressing well. He's one of those guys where there's going to be a lot of people that are coming after him and sending him a lot of high money offers. But at the same time, the reason that this guy's at the University of Florida is because he wanted to be close to home. He got homesick in Oregon. He loves Florida. Now, you could say, oh, he's in I know I saw a couple people on Twitter tweaking out because he's in Miami right now, which, listen, guys, he's off for break. He's a Florida kid. He's rich. Why would he not be in Miami? That's where most people go that are rich and in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say that that's him visiting the University of Miami to go transfer there. But, I think there's a high chance that Florida brings him back, or at least has the offer on the table to bring him back. And we'll have to see. But I think the connection to the university, he wants to be close to home. I have never seen any reason for him not to be a Florida Gator. He seems to love it. And I think Florida's going to make him a great offer. So I think in the end, he's a Florida Gator, but it's like everything in college football. It's wait and see mode right now.
Guys, we're going to go ahead and start with the first round of the playoffs. Remember, the first round of the playoffs starts this Friday, which is not the 19th of December. Where our old head coach is at now, the head coach, James Madison, the number 12 seed. They're 12-1, but not under Billy Napier, under the current coach. At number 5, 11-1 Oregon. Who moves on there for you? I know my answer.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. I will say the tweets from James Madison Twitter are elite. I don't know if you've been seeing those.
I haven't followed James Madison.
Oh, they got some funny fans.
I'm gonna look at it right after we get off here.
Yeah, they got some funny guys, but I think Oregon gets it done. Big Dante Moore guy, so I think they get it done here.
We're gonna do all the rounds, guys. We're gonna pick them even though we don't know who's gonna win. The next game, which is also on the 19th at 8 p.m. on ESPN and ABC. By the way, the James Madison Oregon game is on TNT and HBO Max at 7 p.m. on the 20th. James Madison Oregon is on the 20th. Alabama Oklahoma is on the 19th, and it's at 8 p.m. on ESPN and ABC. Alabama number 9 is 10-3. Oklahoma number 8. I don't remember the record right now, but that doesn't matter. Who wins that game?
Yeah, I think this one's really tough for me. And I kind of see them both as equal opponents. The one I probably would pick Oklahoma here if John Mateer was 100% healthy. I worry about his health. I don't think he's looked the same. That being said, I'm still picking Oklahoma here. I'm a fan of. I think if John Mateer is healthy and if he's the guy we saw early on in the year, I think Oklahoma could win the whole damn thing. So give me Oklahoma here.
I'm picking Oregon in their first game, and I'm picking Oklahoma also because the Alabama coach, I'm not sold on him. He tends to choke in the big stage. And I think Material's going to play whether he has one leg or two legs or two arms or one arm. So give me Oklahoma. Our coach, John Summer on the Tulane wave at Ole Miss. Can Summerall continue the dream while he's a double head coach?
Yeah, this one's fun one. I think a kind of a revenge game after Tulane got blown out by Ole Miss in the season. No Lane Kiffin. You're seeing Pete Golding coach for the first time. I don't know if I like that hire very much. I
He's going to
know.
coach the championship, the
Yeah,
playoffs.
Pete Golding's coaching. Yeah.
Wow, I thought they were going to have an interim.
No. Well, he is kind of the interim, I guess, because he was the defensive coordinator already.
I
So
know, and now he's
yeah,
the
but
official head coach.
so that would be interesting. I'm not sure about that hire. I think I'm kind of conflicted on whether I want John Summerall to win and be like, hey, look, our coach is doing great things, or if I want him to lose so we can kind of get him on campus here and let him lock in completely on the Florida Gators. I think that's a little overblown, though. People act like just because he's not here
He's
that
done a good job,
yeah,
and he's
and
not even here.
Florida has plenty of people working at home right now. You know what I mean? It's not just John Summerall, managing the whole damn thing. So I think I'm gonna have to pick Ole Miss here, but I kind of love to see Summerall make a real run at it. And I do think it might be a close game now with a new head coach at Ole Miss and Tulane kind of looking for a little bit of revenge.
By the way, that game, Ole Miss and Tulane, is on December 20th at 3:30 on TNT and HBO Max. So I'm just letting you guys know so you guys can watch it. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss, but I want our coach John to win it. So if John wins it, keep doing the double coach. You're doing a nice job at Florida. The team that shouldn't have made it, in my opinion, at Texas A&M.
Yeah, Miami at Texas A&M. I think we both know where we're going with this one.
Yes.
Might be a little biased, but
I even put it on Twitter like 2 weeks ago. They're gonna get blown out.
Yeah, I think I do believe that Miami actually puts up a fight here. I think Miami's a good football team led by a coach who likes to choke. We saw that at the end of the year. I think Carson Beck is a good college football quarterback. I don't think he's a great college football quarterback. And I think Texas A&M, at home, they do have a tendency to kind of, we saw it last year. They started the year looking like one of the best teams in the nation. They fell off. This year, started the year looking like one of the best teams in the nation. And I wouldn't say they fell off, but they had some questionable games towards the end. I think Texas A&M gets it done, but I do think that Miami is unfortunately in this game for, at least 3 quarters, pushing in the fourth quarter.
I picked Texas A&M, and I think it's going to be a blowout simply because I think Carson has not played a defense to this level yet. And they're a team that didn't even make the ACC championship. To me, they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. And Cristobal just likes to choke. So I think Texas A&M wins it at least by 21.
Wow, big time.
Oregon at Texas Tech, round 2. Oh, by the way, that game, Miami, Texas A&M, is on the 20th at noon on ESPN and ABC.
Oregon at Texas Tech. This one's tough because I really like Texas Tech. I've been a fan of them for a while now. But that being said, I do really like Oregon too. You know what? I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna go Texas Tech here. I think Texas Tech they've been a really good football team all year. I think they start getting the respect that they deserve here, and they take down a good Oregon squad.
Oregon at Texas Tech. If it happens, which I'm about 98% sure it's going to happen, it's the Capital One Orange Bowl on January 1st at 12 p.m. on ESPN. And I'm picking Texas Tech. I think Oregon, unfortunately, will lose to Texas Tech. I even have Texas Tech maybe advancing to the championship game. You guys gotta watch and see what happens.
Stay tuned.
Oklahoma at Indiana, number 1 Indiana, the number 1 overall seed, which is
Yeah,
shocking.
this is. I mean, I'm super happy for Indiana, man. I think, just having the Heisman like winner there, being so good, beating Ohio State, it's such a great story. I think we really need to just enjoy it because it's truly one of those stories that we're gonna look back on in a couple years, even like 5 years from now, and be like, man, Indiana, like, could you believe that? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So. I'm a big fan of what they got going on, and I think they win this football game. I think they're a really, really good football team. Mendoza was a huge pickup. Miami let him walk in their backyard, by the way. He was a Miami native, went to Columbus High School, and now he's balling out, winning the Heisman. So,
Yep.
so thank you, Mario Cristobal, for not getting that done. Give me Indiana.
He didn't ruin them.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
Um, I'm gonna pick. By the way, this one's the Rose Bowl game. It's on January 1st at 4 p.m. on ESPN. I'm gonna pick Indiana. Indiana goes to the semifinals. Um, Ole Miss number 6. Ole Miss at number 3 Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl on January 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Yeah, Georgia boat races them. This is not close. I mean, I like Trinidad Chandlers. I like the talent, but you didn't let Lane Kiffin coach for you. You have your defensive coordinator coaching. I think that Georgia just comes out and smacks them.
I believe Georgia smacks them by 35.
Whew.
Texas A&M at Ohio State. This would happen on December 31st at 7:30 on ESPN.
Yeah, I'm big into Ohio State. I think Ohio State. I'm not gonna give away my pick at the end, but I think they're the best team in the nation right now. I know they lost to Indiana. I know that kind of woke some people up, but I think Ohio State is a really good football team. Give me Ohio State here.
Oh, he's eliminating Texas A&M. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So who do we have left? Texas A&M. Who would play Texas A&M? I'm confused now.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Oh, who would play Texas? Oh, it would be Texas A&M, Indiana, Georgia at Ohio State.
Oh, that's what it would be. So I picked the wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Georgia, Ohio State. I still think Ohio State wins that game. I think it's a good football game, but I think Ohio State wins.
And Texas A&M, Indiana.
One's
Texas Tech. Sorry.
Oh, Texas Tech. Yeah, I was about to say. I was like Texas.
No, Texas Tech, Indiana.
That one's tough, man. Texas Tech, Indiana. I want to pick Indiana, but I feel like Texas Tech is just. I'm gonna pick Indiana still. I think Indiana makes a great run here. I do think that this game comes down to the wire. I think that Texas Tech has all the ability to win this game, but give me Indiana.
The first semifinal, guys, is the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. It's January 9th at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN, and that would be Texas Tech, Indiana. I'm going to pick the upset.
I love
and
it.
put Texas Tech in the finals.
I love it, Carlos.
And as far as Georgia, Ohio State, I think just Ohio State's the better team.
I agree.
So my final to me is Texas Tech at Ohio State. Your final would be Indiana at Ohio State. Who's your winner?
Yeah, the rematch. I think Ohio State gets it done. I kind of hinted at it, but I think Ohio State's just the best team in the country. Julian Sayin has been so quietly a really good quarterback, and I know the weapons around him. Ohio State's a really talented team. Blah blah blah, but he was kind of looked off in the Heisman race for a long time in the season, and he played really well. I think Ohio State gets it done. Back-to-back championships. I just think they're super talented, and they've proven it year after year that they're a really good football team. We saw it last year. So give me Ohio State here.
Are they going to win it big or close?
I think it's a close game. I think Indiana. I mean, Indiana's. It's sad to say that their Cinderella story comes to an end, but I think they put up a really good fight, and they can be proud about the game they play. I think the same way that we saw it in the last time they faced off. You know, it comes down to the wire, but I think Ohio State gets it done this time. Give me Ohio State by 5 or 4.
Okay. My final is Texas Tech, Ohio State. In the conference Texas Tech is at, they don't play defense. So I think they get run over
Ooh.
at the end, and Ohio State wins it back to back. I think they win it by 17 at least.
Oh, wow. Big time.
Yes.
People are going to turn the game off by halftime, huh?
Yes. Because I think Ohio State's just a better team.
Yeah. I mean, a little boring that we both picked Ohio State, but they're just a really good football team.
Yeah, I think if Texas Tech upsets it, then they'll get the first national championship. Can they win it? They have the talent on the offense. I just question the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm questioning about Texas Tech. Guys, do me a favor and follow my buddy Dylan Olive at X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter at Dylan_UF. Follow everybody on Gators SI. They're like a family to me. We'll be back in the new year to see if our prediction was right, and he'll be coming on the show during the off season. And when we come back on the new year, I'll give you the final record. But Dylan blew me out of the water for the first season. That I can tell you that much.
Hey,
it's been fun, and we're going to continue season 2 this coming August. So, but he'll be on the show, trust me, because there's more staff talk. The staff is not in place. We don't know the team yet. We don't know who's staying and who's going to the portal. So he'll be back on the show the next couple weeks, trust me. But during the Christmas break, don't expect this. I'll keep popping videos, like always, to keep you informed and do shorts. But once the break is over, he'll be back on the channel. And like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and go Gators. Peace. Are you going to be in Miami for